Hey, gamers!
And simply put, we did it. After almost 5 years of YouTubing around, I've released a total of 100 amazing YouTube poops. Not! Because today, we'll be arbitrarily ranking all of these videos based on how cool and good they are. I'll be starting from my oldest YouTube poop, all the way to the 100th YouTube poop collab I released some time ago, which you should also watch because it's epic. Anyways, let's get arbitrarily ranking. So here we are at tiermaker.com, a site which I sadly had to make a Twitter account to in order to use. But here we have the Dabs All Over YouTube Poop Tier List Maker, a tier list of the YouTube poops made by the semi-famous YouTube pooper Dabs All Over. Although, personally, I think I'm a little more famous than semi-famous. Let's start with the first YouTube poop I ever released. Dab TDM spins something, I forget what it's called, it's been a while. Now I think, personally, this is quite the revolutionary YouTube poop, based on the fact that it's my first YouTube poop. But the fact that the thumbnail was made in Scratch, which is a coding site, and how it was not quite as quality as my more recent YouTube poops, I think we have to put it in A tier. And you'll see how for a lot of these starting YouTube poops, a lot of them are going to be made in Scratch. Next is Markiplier becomes King of India. I think this should go a tier below the Dab TDM video, just because it's the same style of editing and Scratch-made thumbnail, except not nearly as revolutionary, being my second. Oh boy, here we have probably my most popular first of my YouTube poops. Michael Crackson breaks his crotch. I have to put this in S tier, just because of how legendary the thumbnail is, especially for it being made in Scratch, and the fact that a lot of people like it for some reason. Don't know why. Next we have Anthony Kiedis squeezes his saucy soul. I think this video should also go in B tier, just because it has a similar situation to the Markiplier YouTube poop. And then we have modern songs in their modern habitats. I don't have much to say about this one, B tier. Matt Pat Exposed. This was a YouTube poop on his Overwatch vs TF2 video, and this was the start of a trilogy of game theory YouTube poops. I think for that, it deserves to go in A tier. Michael Rosen scams Dan TDM. I think this video also deserves to go in B tier. Not C tier, actually, let's put in C tier. Because I think it is not as high quality as its precursor, personally. The Get Out of My Car YouTube poop. This one is kind of tough to make, I have to say, honestly. But it's really good, A tier. The Weird Al Yankovic YouTube poop. Actually, the first in a duology, whatever the trequel is for two things. A tier. Yes, the second game theory video on their Fortnite video having to do with the news. I think this also deserves to go in A tier, despite being a sequel. Bruno Mars, something Mars Bars. I think this was a very good YouTube poop as well, but A tier is getting a bit scuffed, so B tier. Michael Rosen and the Quest for Noise. I think I need to put this in A tier, just because it's my first Michael Rosen YouTube poop, but it's actually the opposite, where my sequels for this are way better than the first. So that's interesting. This was the last YouTube poop in the trilogy of Dan TDM videos, and I think its quality doesn't really match up to the remaining two. Plus, not to mention, fidget spinners were getting a bit old at that point in internet history. The inflatables. I don't have much to say about this one either, but A tier. Oh, the Clorox. The Clorox, probably one of my favorite videos. It was my first to get really popular, actually. It happened before my Michael Jackson YouTube poop. S tier. It's really high quality, and I think it deserves better than A or B. Oh, the second Michael Rosen YTP. I think this one is A tier. Not because it's a sequel YouTube poop, but just because it directly leads into probably one of my most interesting YouTube poops, having to do with Michael Rosen. Next we have the Loads of Money YouTube poop. I know this one isn't as popular with the folks as the others, but it's probably one of my favorite YouTube poops to date. because of the subject matter, and just because British people are inherently hilarious. S tier. Oh, the Bee Gees YouTube poop. I actually forgot I made this. Honestly, I don't have much to say. B tier. The Bill Wirtz YouTube poop. Back when Bill Wirtz was a thing. This one probably was one of my favorite YouTube poops to make at the time, but now I look back and I don't really see that spark anymore. B tier. Oh, the Robbie Rotten YouTube poop. I think this one was really nice, a nice way to commemorate his life's achievements, and it was really funny too, so S tier. The Diana Roberts YouTube poop. It was this channel similar to Linus Tech Tips, and this was a big advancement at the time, the thumbnail, because all these previously, I just made them in Scratch, and they were only 100 pixels wide. This one, I managed to get Photoshop for it. It's my only YouTube poop to date where I've actually used Photoshop for it. I had to for the face, the content aware scale that everyone's talking about. I'd have to put this in A. The Johnny YouTube poop. I think this one was my first collab ever with another YouTube pooper, and for that I have to put that in S tier. Oh, the Little Pump YouTube poop. I think this YouTube poop has aged the best out of many of mine. I think it has to be probably one of the best YouTube poops from that era in my career, and for that, S tier. Now here's what I've been teasing the whole time. Michael Rosen escapes thought prison. This one is definitely one of my most innovative YouTube poops, because it's not only a YouTube poop, but a choose your adventure one as well. For that, I just have to put this in S tier. I highly recommend that if any of you just outright haven't seen the video or experienced all the endings yet, you go and you watch the video and then you know, see what ending you get. It's pretty interesting. The Troom YouTube poop. Back when 5 Minute Crafts and Troom were starting to get a lot of attention from the media. A tier. Another reference to a funny haha is my first Halloween special, really. It's on The Shining. I think it was really good, but honestly, I think it has one of my worst thumbnail designs to date, and for that, I have to put that in A tier. I would have put it in S tier given the Halloween matter, but thumbnail does a lot to a video. The Queen YouTube poop. Another collab of mine. I don't really have much to say about this. It was funny. I also collaborated on the thumbnail with the other YouTube pooper for a change, so that's pretty interesting. A tier. Another Weird Al Yankovic YouTube poop. I think I also have to put this one in A tier, just because my Weird Al Yankovic YouTube poops never decline in quality. They're just always good. Another collab. This one was with my friend, great friend, the Pentium guy. Sadly, a few years ago, he kinda quit YouTube, so he doesn't make YouTube poops anymore. But a lot of his YouTube poops got pretty famous, and he's a pretty cool guy. S tier. The big YouTube Rewind 2018 disaster. I remember when I was making the thumbnail for this YouTube poop, I was thinking, hey, nobody's tried this yet, putting PewDiePie's faces on all of the people's heads. And then I decide to make the thumbnail and upload the video the next day. The next day, before I get to upload it, PewDiePie releases his own video on the Rewind, and he changes all the people in the background's faces to PewDiePie. So you know, even though my video came out after the fact, I did not steal the idea from him, and if anything, he stole it from me. Oh, another PewDiePie YouTube poop, 2 in a row. This was on his famous female dog lasagna video. I think this one, honestly, as one of my highest efforted videos. It took me 2 weeks to make, and many times during that week I was struggling throughout the jokes, but I think it's a real monument to the YouTube poopers' real dedication to the project of, and the study, generally, of YouTube pooping. S tier. Oh, the Lego Movie. The sequel, actually, the Lego Movie 2, or the Leg Movie, as the thumbnail says. This was my first massive collab, a collab with 4 other people, and it really highlighted the times to come doing other massive collabs with multiple groups of very well-mannered YouTube poopers. S tier. Another Bruno Mars YouTube poop. My first YouTube poop of 2019, I believe. I think this one was really good. It didn't get a lot of traffic at first, but now it's starting to get traffic, so I'm pretty glad about that. And I think it deserves A tier, at least. Another Troom Troom YouTube poop, except it's not on Troom Troom. It's on T Studio. And this was also another collab with the Pentium guy. This was before he quit YouTube, of course. I think that this was a really funny video, but it's not quite S tier worthy, so A tier it is. The genius I'm be flossing YouTube poop. This one was really good at the time. I don't know why, but at the beginning I decided to stick Bill Wirt's interview. I don't know why I did. I just thought it was funny. So A tier. The Sanzo mode, sicko mode YouTube poop. This one is really great. I collabed with Mother on this one, but you may know him by a bunch of other names because he changes his name every 2 months, but as of now, I think he's back to Mother, so yeah, go check out his channel. He's cool. I think he actually doesn't upload as often as he did before, but he's still very chill. He's cool. A tier. The Super Bowl halftime. Back in the days when everyone was angry about SpongeBob. Some still are. I think this video, it was very good for a YouTube poop, but A tier's getting a bit overcrowded, so B tier it is. And the Will Smith Genie YouTube poop. My first YouTube poop to feature anything related to flex tape, I believe. I think this YouTube poop was quite good and deserves A tier. The Peppa Pig YouTube poop. This one, I believe, unless I'm stupid, was also a collab with the Pentium guy. Unless I'm just being really stupid and it's not. I think this is pretty A tier worthy. Oh boy. The Incredibles YTP, except it's on the second movie. I have to say, this has one of the worst thumbnail designs of any video of mine. It is horrid. I don't know why I decided to do this. Obviously it's made in Scratch because I don't know how I wouldn't be able to anyways. F tier, just for the thumbnail. It is a good video, but it would be way better without that horrid thumbnail. And the Madagascar YouTube poop. Back when Article 13 was a big deal. I mean, like, what happened to Article 13? Did it go into effect? Did it get rejected? I hadn't heard much of it after 2019. Like, what's going on? I think this video was quite good. It was also a collab. My first YouTube poop to include the special YouTube poop collab logo, which I made myself. And I think just for that, it needs to go into S tier, because A tier, again, is getting a bit overcrowded. And look at this, another PewDiePie video, except it's on Congratulations. I think this video was very good, but it's pretty mediocre when it comes to my other PewDiePie YouTube poops, so I'll put it in A tier. And another YouTube poop having to do with Article 13, except it's on the Avengers. I remember I got inspiration for this YouTube poop after seeing that one Geico commercial where he just has the Infinity Gauntlet for no reason. But besides that, it's a pretty okay YouTube poop. B tier, I think. Another Diana Roberts OS First Timer. That's what it is. That's what their channel's called. OS First Timer. It's another YouTube poop. It's a collab, probably, of the Pentium guy, again, unless I'm, again, being stupid. I think it's an okay YouTube poop, but it suffers from thumbnail quality again. Like, that's the Patreon logo right there. I don't know if anyone saw that when they saw the video, but that's the Patreon logo. C tier. The Sonic YouTube poop. I remember I worked so hard on this video, and I was just absolutely disheartened when YouTube gave it an age restriction. And I still don't know why they did to this day. They never specified it, especially since the whole video was clean. But I remember this was my first experience with a real just age restriction, because up until this point my videos had been pretty much okay, but up to this day some of the videos on this list, like I'd say maybe a quarter of them, are age restricted, and YouTube never gives a reason, so I don't know why or what to trim out or anything. It just really sucks. So I think just to honor the video, it needs to go into S tier, honestly. It's a good video and I hate that it's getting less views because of the fact, especially because I worked so hard on it. So S tier it is. And the Boss Baby YouTube poop. Everyone remembers when Boss Baby was trending. It was like the Minions at its height. It was just, oh wow, it's a baby in a suitcase. Yay. Kinda weird. C tier. I'm stupid, that's B tier. Another Billboard's YouTube poop. Not on the world video like you would think it is, but it's on a few of his music videos. I remember this YouTube poop was pretty okay to make, but I was going through a lot at this time in my life, so I think for that I have to put it into B tier, just because I don't think it has as much spirit as the others. Oh, this one was great. I think to this day, the Conky Dong YouTube poop has one of my best thumbnails ever. Everyone just hanging around, all types of monkeys, and just some random penguin below the Conky Dong logo. I think just for that, the YouTube poop has to go into S tier, because that thumbnail is top quality. Oh, the Bee Movie. My first YouTube poop to include an emoji in the title. I think only two. I don't have much to say about this either. It was okay. A tier. And a Shrek YouTube poop. Surprisingly, I hadn't made a YouTube poop on Shrek up until this point. So I think, just the subject matter, Shrek, S tier. And you know what, actually, I'm going to reorganize S tier a little bit, just because it's starting to get almost as crowded as A tier. I think the Michael Crackson video deserves to go into triple S tier, and so does the Loads of Money one, but everything else can stay. Maybe we can move something up from A tier as well, like the Get Out of My Car video, also got age restricted, which is a bit more justifiable than the Sonic video, but I still don't know why they did it, so yeah, enjoy S tier. And speaking of the Minions, here's a Minions YouTube poop. Well, it's a YouTube poop on Despicable Me, but yeah, it was pretty good. A tier. I don't have much to say about that either. Same about the Moana one, honestly. It was like yeah, and Kanye West and everything, but it's just Moana singing. I don't have much to say about it. A tier. The Despicable Despacito YouTube poop. Back when Flying Kitty was getting popular, and the top ideology on the internet was hating Flying Kitty for getting popular. I'm gonna put this video in B tier just because it's kind of like a mini rant. Still funny on its own though. An Old Town Road video. You can really tell when all these videos came out because they were covering various trends at the time. And I try not to be a trend hopper, but at the same time, I also try to get people to watch my videos, so it's like walking a tightrope. On its own, even excluding the fact that I'm a dirty trend hopper who deserves to be sent to YouTube hell, I think this video is quite good and deserves A tier. And you remember how I said that the game theory videos were a trequel? Well, yeah, here we go. On the Sans. I made this video when Sans was officially added to Smash. Oh, I can't believe it's been 3 years since Sans was added to Smash. And the Taylor Swift video. I made this because I had a friend of mine that was really obsessed with Taylor Swift, and he would just not shut up about Taylor Swift. So I'm like, hey, will you shut up if I make a YouTube poop on Taylor Swift? And he hasn't talked to me since, so I think it worked. A tier. The first YouTube poop on an outright Phil Swift video. Man, can't get enough of Phil Swift. I think there's a Phil Swift featured in a lot of YouTube poops, despite not having one, but this was his first where he really got to shine. I think this deserves an S tier, just because the subject matter, Phil Swift, is epic, and another one of these videos on something Lil Nas X did. Because long title, but outside of that whole thing, I think this YouTube poop was really great, but really suffers from Panini not being very popular, as opposed to Old Town Road, so B tier. Another PewDiePie video. I actually have a very kind heart for this video, since it came out right when I was getting into Minecraft again, which I think was the case for a lot of people, so I think for that, it deserves S tier, just because of the nostalgia value. And you know what, sure, Killer Bean video definitely needs to go into S tier too. Killer Bean is such a good show, such a good movie. Can't wait until the Killer Bean video game. I can't wait, honestly. I love Killer Bean. Killer Bean's like my dad, and the YouTube Rewind 2019 moment. Remember when YouTube literally uploaded a compilation video as their rewind? Well, yeah, this is it. So, A tier. I don't really have much to say about this. It's the rewind, I think. A first video of 2020, the Protogen video. I think this video deserves S tier, just because it's really funny, and honestly, a lot of people commented about Super Y. A lot of people saw Protogen and were like, oh yeah, that's just Orange Super Y. But then, once they saw the video, they were like, oh yeah, that's Orange Super Y. So yeah, message of the movie, that's Orange Super Y. The Dance Monkey YouTube poop. another one of these massive collabs. I actually made this video, collaborated with a bunch of my more modern YouTube poop friends, ThePoopster, Snako, Yeeter Inbound, who was known as Yeet Boi at the time. I think this video needs S tier just because, not necessarily because of the subject matter, but just because of the collab value. And oh yes, we knew it was going to come to this. The Lego City YouTube poop. Currently, my most popular YouTube poop of all time. And I have a soft spot for this YouTube poop because if you know me, I really like Harry Enfield, and dumping him in this YouTube poop and having a bunch of people see him and a silly loads of money video honestly is great. I want this Harry Enfield guy to be a meme. Triple S tier. You can see the resemblance. It's Harry Enfield right there. Loads of money. And oh yes, the Imagine Dragons YouTube poop. This one was good too. It was kind of like a mini rant though. It's kind of like, oh yeah, Imagine Dragons isn't real music. But I think it's better than my previous rant, honestly, just because it doesn't fall into the rant value. So it deserves a little bit of A tier. This has to be one of my stupidest videos to date. You remember those guys that made the Dance Monkey collab with me? Yeah, we collaborated to make a 2-minute YouTube poop of a 10-second video of a waffle falling down, and we managed to do it. So just based on how stupid of a concept that is, this deserves triple S tier. Honestly, it's too stupid to fail. The Ice Age YouTube poop. Any video of Michael Rosen goes in S tier or above. And speaking of YouTube poops going in S tier for having people on them that I know, here's the Eminem YouTube poop featuring Phil Swift. Oh, the Never Going to Give You Up YouTube poop. This one was my most watched video on my channel for a long time. For the Lego City YouTube poop just came in and crushed it, which is really surprising because the Lego City YouTube poop released before the Never Gonna Give You Up one. But I think just because of the fate these videos share, and because it's Rick Astley, you can't argue with Rick Astley, triple S tier. This is definitely my longest YouTube poop to date, excluding my 100th YouTube poop collab video, of course. This is quite literally a YouTube poop movie. 10 minutes of Old Town Road memes, and Mustache Minecraft Man, apparently. S tier. My fanboy and chum chum YouTube poop. I remember at the time people were really hating on this show and making memes of it, but I have to admit I kind of have a soft spot for Chum Chum and Dum Dum because that movie was my childhood, and I'm sorry, but this has to go in S tier. The Gravity Falls YouTube poop, which was an entry to many collabs that I've collaborated on, so I think for that it needs to go in A tier. Believe it or not, I've made a YouTube poop on REM. Not many people seem to know about it, but I think it's one of my funniest to date, so S tier. Oh, you know this is going in triple S tier. It is literally Link CDI, Faces of Evil, featuring Morshu. How can you argue with Taco Bell manager Morshu? He literally owns a Taco Bell. This is definitely one of the largest collabs I've ever participated in. There were over 50 people that entered for this, and the finished video just ended up being an hour long. This is the Heavy is Dead anniversary YouTube poop collab, and you can go watch it right now on YouTube. Fair warning, it is an hour long, so you better get some popcorn and better hope that you don't laugh because you lose. S tier. This was another YouTube poop I collaborated on The Gang with, and I think this has to go in S tier just because it's Mario. Who could argue with keyboarding Mario? I don't have much to say about this. I honestly forget Ikam Bukam was even a thing, so I'd have to put this in B tier. Sorry! Oh, my second Halloween special. This one was actually a really good video of mine, but I think it's not quite S tier worthy, so A tier does it right. You go, Chadtronic, you go. Oh yeah, you remember how I made a Shrek YouTube poop? Well, it took me a while to make an all-star YouTube poop, but here it is. I think this deserves S tier. Or maybe, actually, triple S tier. Because it's Smash Mouth. Who can argue with Smash Mouth? Who can argue with Phil Swift? You literally can't. If they were the government, they would be most powerful because nobody could argue with them at all. Speaking of people you can't argue with, I think this is a very good video of mine. And really, I think it's my second or third most popular video on my channel right now, so congratulations, here. Triple S tier, here you go. My last YouTube poop on 2020 was on the Dr. T Clash of Clans meme. Or it wasn't Clash of Clans, it was Boom Beach, but they're made by the same Finnish company, so yada yada. This one is really good, I think. Not quite S tier or triple S tier worthy, but A tier is fine for it. And I actually lied when I said this was my last video of 2020, because there's this random cheese video collab I did with the same people as the Old Town Road and the Dance Monkey collab. So yeah, A tier. I don't have much to say about it. This is actually a video that I'm not quite sure about, because I made this collab with the same people as the Dance Monkey YouTube poop at the beginning of 2021, before people really became aware of his underlying health issues. I don't mean to be insensitive when I'm talking about this, I just didn't know at the time, and I'm sorry if I offended anyone. So I think for that, we're putting that in B tier. This was another collab I did with a new YouTube poop, a YouTube pooper from France actually, so that's cool. I think this deserves A tier. I don't really have much to say about that. It's Donkey Kong, and there's Mario. Speaking of YouTube poops I don't really have much to say about, my Grubhub YouTube poop, which currently is one of my most popular on my channel. But I don't judge things based on how popular they're. I judge them because they're funny, and I think this video is very, very funny. Fun fact, on the thumbnail, did you know that Morshu actually has 3 nose hairs? Triple S tier. We only have 15 YouTube poops to go, so let's make this extra special. Another one of my most popular videos to date is the Dairy Queen YouTube poop. I think this one is very funny and definitely deserves triple S tier. Another video that definitely deserves triple S tier, and this one was actually a very sussy video, because alongside being one of my most popular on my channel, it was also age restricted for, again, no reason. The YouTube gave no reason, and given it's age restricted, it's not able to make any monetary value. Except 2 months later, Cocomelon Company just went whoosh in and was like, hey, that's our content. And now they're making money off of something that you shouldn't be able to make money off of. So that's a bit sus, but the video itself is actually really funny. I recommend you support it given it's age restricted and everything. So triple S tier it is. Another one of my Michael Rosen YouTube poops is the Michael Rosen birthday collab. I think just because of the value of Michael Rosen having his birthday really grants it triple S tier. It is on par with my previous Michael Rosen Choose Your Own Adventure YouTube poop. And we actually intended this one to be a Choose Your Own Adventure collab, but that really fell through because we didn't get enough entries. But it's still a good video regardless. Another one of my Phil Swift YouTube poops. I think this one deserves S tier. Not because it's not as good as triple S tier, but because it is better than A tier. It is quite literally a video in which Phil Swift is Godzilla. And yeah, that's all we really have to say. Great stuff, great funny stuff. Next is a YouTube poop entry for another collab on the expiration date video, which was hosted by the same person that hosted the Heavy is Dead collab. I think this video is good, but doesn't quite deserve triple S tier or S tier. My Tally Hall YouTube poop. This one is one of my highest efforted to date, and probably has one of the most detailed thumbnails. In fact, I gave everyone a tie corresponding to Tally Hall's members' ties. So check that out if you like thumbnail Easter eggs. Breaking Sad. Another video I collabed with the folks that did the Dance Monkey YouTube poop. They're chill. This was a great collab. I really liked it, and I suggest you go ahead and watch their collab because it's awesome. S tier. The first of 2 Kroger collabs. I think this definitely goes in S tier just because of how efforted it is. All of these more recent videos are more efforted than most in the past, to be honest. You can tell from the thumbnails not being made in Scratch. So that definitely helps. The video itself is really funny, but doesn't quite deserve triple S tier, but it's funny nonetheless. My Chips Ahoy video. This one is probably one of my favorites to this day. I really like the video that corresponded with it as well, where I basically, when this YouTube poop was done, I got down and made a mini sequel in a horror movie style too. So I'll link that up there, but you can check that out. It's actually really spooky. Triple S tier. Oh, the Dream Mask YouTube poop. This one I had fun making, and I think deserves triple S tier. But also, It's really sad because one of my friends, one of the collabers from the Dance Monkey that's collabed with me so many times, uploaded a YouTube hoop of Mask, and it got uber popular, like millions of views. But then, once Dream took down the original video, as a prank, he decided to rename his video and thumbnail to the original video. But then, he got a notice from YouTube that his channel was terminated, just outright, no strikes, no nothing. We don't even know if it was because he was, as a joke, impersonating the video, because YouTube never said. And it's stupid because he lost 12,000 subscribers. And it was just so sad for him. The dude was going through so much stress at the time. I recommend you go check out his videos and his channel to help him recover back to 12,000 subscribers. It's really a shame that this goes unnoticed on YouTube. Down to 5 more videos. My third and, as of now, final Halloween special YouTube poop. I think this one deserves triple S tier because not only is it one of my highest efforted to date, it also has the triple threat of Phil Swift, the Joker, and Mario CDI. So honestly, how can you even argue with it? There's even Sri Pello, another one of my Kroger YouTube poops. Believe it or not, the difference between this Kroger YouTube poop and this other one in S tier is that the first one is just on the low commercial, while the second is on more. I think personally, they stand at a pretty even level despite the differing view counts, and they're both really well. I recommend you watch them both in succession to get the best experience. My final YouTube poop of 2021, the Megamind YouTube poop. I think this YouTube poop, again, was really highly efforted. Not quite triple S tier worthy, but definitely S tier worthy. And then, this has to be one of my dumbest YouTube poops to date. Possibly even dumber than the waffle one. The YouTube poop on the Strokes started as an inside joke behind my friends, where we would pretend the Strokes were a fake band, and then say things like, "Oh, that's a lyric from the Strokes songs," and then we wouldn't shut up about the Strokes, and then it just devolved into everyone worshipping the Strokes like a religion or something, and then it eventually peaked when I finally made the YouTube poop, and it was crazy, honestly. Spiffles may hate the Strokes, but at least the rest of us love the Strokes. Triple S tier. And then I have to say, finally, the 100th YouTube poop collab, which honestly deserves triple S tier because of the accomplishment of getting 100 YouTube poops. Let's go. So yeah, here are all the YouTube poops ranked. All 100 of them. Thank you for sticking by this video and watching each one be ranked. If you thought that a certain YouTube poop should be ranked higher or lower than the others, please let me know in the comments below. This has been Dabs All Over. Remember to eat fresh, but don't go to Subway because it's anything but fresh. Have a good day.